That's wonderful. Welcome, everyone. We're just going to keep letting people in. It's just 4 o'clock Pacific time right now. Did anyone else feel the earthquake?
Today?
Yeah, yeah, not
Oh,
too long ago. And I can turn off my alerts, but the earthquake alerts will still come through.
right, of course.
Yeah, you're glad for that, right? So yeah, we want to know because there's a lot that can be done with before an aftershock comes. We know a lot more now. So hopefully I won't be having to go under the desk. So welcome. Nice to see everyone. I know we're expecting a few more people, so we'll wait a few minutes. Where's everyone coming from? Y'all can just come off mic.
I'm
Hi,
from
everyone.
Illinois.
And where?
I'm in Saskatchewan, Canada.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, I'm outside of Chicago, Illinois. It's called
oh,
Des Plaines. It's a suburb.
I've heard of that. Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
California,
Tina's the LA area. Hi,
a little
Tina.
further from the earthquake than you, so I didn't feel
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But you guys are getting them in that area too.
Right.
We're getting them on the Malibu side.
Yeah, I felt the first Malibu one.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So welcome. And who
I'm
else?
in Sequoia National Forest in the central part of California, the Tulare County foothills.
Hi,
Happy to
Rob.
be
Nice
here.
to see
Hi,
you.
thank you.
I'm from New Zealand. Pleased to be here with you.
Hi, Rose.
Oh, so you're in the southern hemisphere.
welcome.
What time of day is it?
At 11 o'clock in the morning.
Ah,
Hmm,
okay.
Quite
Okay.
respectable.
11 o'clock in the morning in Australia.
New Zealand.
And so you're ahead of us, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're Sunday morning.
Okay. Okay, you're ahead
Sunday
of us.
morning there.
Oh,
Well, welcome, welcome. Anyone else?
Well, I'm Carolyn. I'm from Alameda, California, which is the Bay Area. And I just want to welcome everybody here on behalf of Creation Spirituality Communities.
Thank you. So you're not far away either. Too far.
Well, I don't know. You said SoCal and something about earthquakes, and I missed all that. And I certainly haven't felt an earthquake. So
Thank goodness, right?
we do
Southern
feel.
California, as in northern Los Angeles. So I live in Encino. Okay. Well, we're almost at 5 after the hour.
Yeah, if
And
you want to go ahead and start, that's
okay.
fine.
Okay, I'm happy to go ahead and start. Well, welcome everyone that's here. Thank you for coming to the Creation Spirituality Communities Equinox Finger Labyrinth Walk. That's a mouthful. The autumnal Equinox Labyrinth Walk, I should say. We are delighted to have you here. And Marianne, which many of you know, Marianne Warmhoff, a while ago brought the labyrinth, the finger labyrinth walks to the Creation Spiritualities community. And she did this beautiful thing of adapting the process of walking the labyrinth, which we have the 4 R's, and you guys have the 4 mystical paths. And so she uses that instead of the 4 R's, and we'll go into that, and it's really, really beautiful. We'll go into that in a little bit. But so she asked me to substitute because we float in the same worlds. Marianne is part of Veritas, and she's part of the Labyrinth Society, and she's an advanced facilitator. I am as well, and she is involved with evolutionary creation spirituality, and I have been as well. I participated in some of your classes here. In the fall, I was in a cosmogenesis with Penny that she ran. It was incredible. And a couple of others I've been in. And then I was in Italy this summer with Matthew Fox for a week, and that was pretty profound. So Marianne keeps seeing me at these evolutionary gatherings and asked me to do this, which I was delighted to do it. Anything that's evolutionary spirituality and contemplative practices, the cross section of those two worlds is my place where I love to play. So this practice of walking the labyrinth, this practice of whether you're walking it or you're using a finger labyrinth, it takes us out of our left brains and it takes us into our souls. It takes us into soul time, into our divine self. You know, that left analytical, busy mind. It's this incredible tool that helps us get out. It is shaped, many are shaped like the brain. The Chatra style we have back here has 4 quadrants, and our brain has 4 quadrants. And as you walk a labyrinth and you go on the path back and forth, you are balancing. And this is the theme today, of balance and transformation. You're balancing your brain. Your DNA is connecting with the DNA of the collective. So we're not just doing this for ourselves, we're growing in greater consciousness, which Brian Swim always talks about as well with the collective. And you know what? I'm just going to say, Brian Swim, that's where Marianne is, by the way. She's with Brian Swim right now, and with Lauren Artris and Judith Tripp and Phil Quasino and others in Chatra Cathedral, doing a facilitator program and a pilgrimage program on cosmogenesis with the labyrinth. So sorry I didn't mention that at the beginning. So I wish I could be there too, but I love being here as well. So this practice of walking the labyrinth that is shaped, it's an evolutionary pattern. It's shaped like the DNA. It's shaped like our brains. And it has the labyrinth. You don't have to do the work. The labyrinth holds you. So you can go into the left brain so that you can, the right brain, so that you don't have to do that work. You follow the path. You stay within the sacred space that's created, and you can let go. You can let your mind let go and do the work of coming home to self. So it's really amazing in that way. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to walk a labyrinth. And so if you get off the path, that's not a big deal. But usually you're still within the larger container of the labyrinth. So it's a wonderful way to let go. And Cynthia Berjold, probably many of you know her work. She talks about, as well as Matthew Fox and many others, everybody sees it, how we are in a period of tremendous breakdown, right? But the spiritual communities are carrying the edge. There is hope. We are growing as more and more people are doing their spiritual practices. And then this group has overlap with this group, and we start to build, which Thomas Hubble talks about this giving us agency and so much hope, because we're becoming a critical mass of people doing our work. And this is a quantum thing. This is not just here in our physical bodies. This is happening in a much bigger way. So take heart. I know that we have a lot of concerns in the world and a lot to be very discouraged about, but I'll get that. But there is hope that if we just continue and build our communities and be with each other in these processes, as well as on our own, it matters. It's going somewhere. So I'd like to start the program, and I'm going to share my screen, and just give me a second to bring up the presentation. Here we are. Am I sharing?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm gonna put it on present. And presenter view, present, there we go. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. Okay, so walking, can you all see that? The screen, walking a finger labyrinth on the eve of the autumnal equinox. This is why we're here. And where am I? We always begin groups like this with land acknowledgements. I don't know if all of you know the land on which you stand. I stand on the lands of the Gabrielina and the Tonga people. And I do want to share, this is a little bit longer land acknowledgement, but speaking of changing the collective, changing systems, I was on the website of the Department of Water and Power for Los Angeles, the greater Los Angeles area, which by the way is 18.41 million people. Los Angeles proper is around 6.3 million, but our greater area is significant. It's a huge population here. And I want to read their land acknowledgement, if you'll bear with me. I found this pretty profound. We would like to begin by acknowledging whose land we stand upon, and you can acknowledge the lands that you stand upon. I stand upon the lands of the greater Los Angeles Basin, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielina Tongva Nation. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to evaluating the stories and culture of our original inhabitants. We are grateful to live and work on these ancestral lands and are dedicated to growing relationships with Native peoples and the local tribal governments. Now that is just a statement, but they obviously had to go through a serious process, internal process with their boards and so forth to come up with this, but it's a step. So, and here I just want to introduce Edgar Perez. He's an elder and a historian and Native American monitor, which I just love that title, for the Gabrielina Tongva Nation of the greater Los Angeles area. He was speaking at a forum, a really cool forum that's ongoing at All Saints in Pasadena called Telling the Whole Story. So they're telling the story of many different stories out there, about their stained glass window to all sorts of things. And I love this quote that he said. He says, coming from a woman back in 1900, a Tongva woman, I prefer to call myself Tongva, a name that was used by a woman in 1900 when she was asked what it means. She replied, "We call ourselves Tongva because we are the people of this land." So she was pretty brave to have done that back, under the forces and so forth back then. So that's the land acknowledgement. So the autumnal equinox, a time of balance and transformation, it heralds, it brings in, it ushers in the fall. Every year we celebrate two equinoxes, one in the southern hemisphere and one in the northern hemisphere. And right now in the northern hemisphere, we're moving towards the dark, the going within, and we're saying goodbye to summer and welcoming fall. And in the southern, where Rose Isabel is, and maybe others, I don't know, you guys are moving into your vernal equinox. Vernal, as we know, is greening, as in Hildegard. Many of us know of that through her. So the equinox is Latin for equal nights, and the sun sits directly on the equator, and so we're half in sunlight and half in darkness. And I'm sorry, I need to move something. There we go. We don't have the tilt of the sun in the equinox, but the day after the equinox begins, the tilt starts to come back, and that's how we get our seasons. So, sure, a lot of you are familiar with this from science when we were children. The equinox, it's not an astrological event. It is an astronomical event. So there is a difference. And although this particular equinox is massive and happening at an astronomical time, we have been in the last 10 days through multiple retrogrades, eclipses, a supermoon, and now the equinox, which is a lot happening in the cosmos. I mean, it's a lot all at once, and it's giving us the opportunities to have been grateful, you know, in the supermoon, to then releasing things in the eclipses, and now in the equinox, finding balance and going within. The equinox, you know, as we're so bombarded with so much coming in our inboxes and the latest book to read, the latest class to take, the latest supplement to take, you know, all this is the elections. Oh my gosh, the elections, the wars, the news. Life is busier today than it, you know, has ever been, certainly for our ancestors. So you might want to take a screenshot of these questions, but these are something that the equinox itself occurs at 5:44 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. So we're just on the eve of it. So in wherever you live, just if you're calling, you know, from Central Time, you might add 2 hours and so forth. But to save these questions and spend some time with them as you maybe meditate, as you're going through the equinox, as you're actually literally experiencing it. And these questions are, you know, about balance. Where am I doing too much? Where am I not doing enough? How much rest am I getting? We're not getting enough rest. Am I overindulging? That's a really good question. And am I driving myself too hard? So, and there might be other questions along these lines that you would like to add to your list of questions about balance. But this particular equinox was so much happening in the cosmological realm, is extra powerful for focusing on these things. The next slide. So are we all familiar with Brian Swimme? He wrote the book Cosmogenesis and many other things, and he's a professor, and he's been around doing this evolutionary work for so long. And he believes in, he talks about our growing consciousness, that human beings are becoming more conscious, and through our contemplative practices, we are really getting there. And he said, we need a new mind and a new story that will enable us to inhabit successfully the quantum evolutionary cosmos. We need to learn to experience directly the more subtle complexities of the seamless whole that is nature or cosmos, and that includes the events that will follow our moment now. Our moment now. We are in a moment. When we learn to experience our world in such a manner, we will have crossed into a new way of being human. You hear a lot of this talk about the new human. Well, this is happening, and this is how we do it. He speaks about, you know, we're co-creating it in our DNA collective. So I'm going to go back to the harvest moon here just for a moment. I know it happened a few days ago, but this harvest moon, a lot of people said to me that it woke them up in the middle of the night. It woke me up in the middle of the night. 4 a.m. you know, the moon moves the oceans and the tides. Why would it not move us? And it beckoned me, and I got up and I sat with her from about 4 a.m. till it went under the horizon. So it was for a couple hours. And I journaled and journaled and journaled and journaled. And, you know, the spiritual meaning of the harvest moon is connecting us to those themes of abundance and gratitude and completion. And with all these cosmic energies at play right now, I just wanted to come back to it because we're doing a little bit of all this practice, this gratitude, this release. And when we move into this labyrinth walk today, you're going to see that we'll be doing it in the here and now. So just a little bit on fall. I don't know about you guys, I'm feeling it in the air. In Encino, it was 117 degrees 10 days ago. And it was 59 this morning and in the 70s today. It's been just glorious. So I don't know if you're feeling the fall in your area, but we are certainly feeling it here, and it's delightful. So our Celtic ancestors used the Wheel of the Year. They lived closer to the land, and this is part of regaining our spiritual practices and is getting closer to these natural cycles. And so the Wheel of the Year is a cyclical calendar of 8. These are called, they're major solar events. You can see the moon in the middle. And each celebration is referred to as a Sabbat. And right now we're in the Sabbat of Mabon. You can see it on the left. You can see that the moon is half. Mabon celebrates a season of balance and change. So that's what we're doing, a point of balance between the inner and the outer worlds. And Mabon is a time of give and the take of life. It represents a time of gratitude as well for the abundant harvest. It's a time for reflection and going in, getting cozy and drinking your tea and journaling in the morning and lighting candles. And doesn't that sound wonderful to have sort of, if everybody took this universal break for your soul? Mabon altars are built. So this is not my Mabon altar. This is Pinterest's Mabon altar. And they're honoring this transition. Mabon actually was a hero, a King Arthur hero in the Tales of King Arthur. And in essence, what the Mabon celebration is celebrating is the divine union of the feminine and the masculine qualities. So qualities such as honor and honesty and loyalty and nobility and grace and truth and courage and courtesy. Nice words, empowerment and service. They're married. They come together, and it's just really beautiful. So, and if you do celebrate Mabon or you do celebrate the equinox, I encourage you to make an altar, to light candles, to use your essential oils and sage and really create a beautiful container around it. Here's my Mabon altar, just real fast. I live in Southern California, so yes, we have avocados in the yard and tomatoes and apples and chili. And you bring in the colors of the fall, the orange, and I made a little broom out of rosemary that you're supposed to sweep the spirits away that you're trying to get rid of. I made a little spray bottle of cinnamon oil that encourages, lifts up that spiritual connectedness, and a bell, and this painting that's special to me that represents harvest. So you can make it your own Mabon altar. And we did this about 2 weeks ago. A group of us from TLS and Veritas came out and Labyrinths of Greater Los Angeles and made a fall labyrinth at the Heirloom Festival. And here, I just want to show you, this is a concept that Matthew Fox talks about. He says, if we do not create a global civilization where peace and justice and the spirit of delight and celebration can be made to happen, then we have no one to blame but ourselves. And that's Matthew Fox from his book, Original Blessing. So it's this labyrinth can be used in so many ways. Even if these kids don't really realize what they're doing, they are working with a spiritual process. I need to make sure I mention that today is the International Day of Peace. The UN is celebrating its 25th anniversary of this day, and rightfully so. The theme this year is cultivating a culture of peace, which we so desperately need. To quote UNESCO, and forgive that they just say men here, because I think women can be woven into it. Wars begin in the minds of men. So it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace must be constructed. So here you have even the UN thinking in evolutionary ways. It's starting at the individual to make that change on the grander level. Whenever I teach a contemplative practice, I always start with the tree of contemplative practices. And you guys have probably seen this before. I'm guessing most of you have seen this. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I do want to honor it because if a person is seeing it for the first time, often it provides an aha moment. Like, oh, so anyhow, this was put together, and some of you may have been involved in this in the 1980s by the Center for Mind and Society. And someone on their staff, Mia Dore, imagined what they did was they went out, their staff interviewed 80 of spiritual luminaries at the time. So Eckhart Tolle, the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, I'm sure Matthew Fox was on their list. And Thomas Keating, and so the luminaries of the spiritual world back then. And they clumped them into a variety of practices, and Maya Dore, who was on the staff, envisioned this tree. And so we have the stillness branch of practices, the generative, the creative, the activist, the relational, the movement, where we'll be working today on the labyrinth, even though it's going to be just our finger. But we'll also be bringing in the stillness because that we will be, in a meditative state. And then, of course, the rituals. And what all trees have in common is their root system. And this root system is, does it connect me? Does this practice that I'm doing connect me to something bigger than myself? And awareness that does that divinity reside in me? So I just thank you for letting me say that. I also always say that we set intentions when we walk a labyrinth. That we dedicate it, and this entire dedication walk I would like to dedicate, if it's okay with you guys, to all the victims of wars right now in our world. There's too much of it going on, and we're losing too many lives. So to make the dedication, but then we have our personal intention, our prayer that we come to it. In the words of creation spirituality communities, that would be the Via Creativia, the Via Positivia. So this is a quantum concept we need to go over, that there's a corresponding amount of insight and synchronicities and answers that come when we set powerful intentions. And if you pay attention to what your intention was, it could appear in, an email you get, or a leaf on the ground, but, somewhere in your walk today, in your labyrinth walk, things come because we are working at a quantum level. And I'll just bring in the work of Lynn McTaggart. I don't know if any of you have ever done Power of Eight groups and so forth, but she tells us about the science behind intention, the power of collective consciousness, and the transformative effects they can have on the individual and society. She teaches us that we are all connected by harnessing the power of our minds and collective intention. we can create a world of unity and understanding. So I just wanted to bring that in. So how many of you have walked a labyrinth or haven't walked a labyrinth before? Is there anyone here? You can just come off of mute and say whether you have not. But the more traditional is that in the Veriditas way, they train all the facilitators, by the way, are the 4 R's. So remember, which is that intention, prayer, the release, the recycle, the receive, and the return. So in the creation spirituality communities, we're going to use the 4 mystical paths. And this was Marianne Wormhoff who brought this to you guys. So we have the via positiva. So that's going to be before, when your finger is at the beginning of the labyrinth, before you go in, your via positiva, that awe, that prayer, that gratitude that you come with. And then as you walk in and you're releasing and you're going into the via negativa, walking in towards the center, we're letting go of the pain and the suffering and the darkness. These are necessary steps as part of the spiritual journey, not to be afraid of it, but to just go into it. And then when we get to the center, that's where we co-create with God, and we create for creations. It's the via creativa. You know, you're creating for creativity's sake, not for a to-do list or, you know, an expectation, but just for the delight of creating. As you saw those kids, you know, just in such a delightful mode, because there is this thing, allurement, that draws us to things and they can grow. And then after you spend a little time in the via creativa, then you're coming out in the via transformativa. And under the Veriditas, that would be, how am I going to take this work to the world? In the via transformativa, it's that too, and in forms of compassion, in forms of purpose, and in forms of making a difference in the world. So did everybody bring a labyrinth? Does anybody have any questions? It'd be good if we picked our labyrinths up and showed them, if you have one, or if you have just a paper labyrinth, or if you don't have either, you can just sit back and oh, there's one. I love that one, the mouse pad. And you can just sit back and meditate. Oh, and look at that. Carolyn has, that's from Labyrinth Journeys. You can pull that up, right, Carolyn? That's who you got it from? Yes. Okay, you can pull it up on your phone. And Rob's got his, a beautiful, made of wood. What is that, an oak?
It's bamboo.
Ooh, even nicer. I love that. All right. Does anybody else want to share their labyrinths? I see Joan has, oh, that's pretty. That's a, you know, labyrinths have many different designs. There are 4 major categories, and the seed pattern is the original one that were in the cave paintings, and I think some of you may have come with it today. And then we have the medieval. The Shatra is a version of the medieval called the Shatra medieval, and then we have the Romanesque kinds that are square, and then we have contemporary labyrinths, you know, that take on unique forms. So we like to feel the edges. I was in a labyrinth walk yesterday at Veriditas, and I loved how Christina Roundtree, it was for the Equinox as well, and she talked about, think of your labyrinth like the earth, like you're holding the earth, and you can even turn it round and round. And I thought that was, and sort of the harmony and the tilting that the earth does. What we're trying to do is, since we can't be in person, we're creating an environment of the labyrinth. So what will happen is, I'm going to ring a bell and read a poem, and then start the music and you can start your walk. So is everybody ready? All right. Let me get my bell, just one second. So let's start by let's take a couple of breaths in. Just connect with your body. You can put your finger on your labyrinth. You can use right or left hand if you want to use non-dominant hand. It's nice to access the opposite side of the brain than usual. You can choose different fingers for different purposes, and I have a whole presentation on that. I won't go into it now, but confidence here. The ring finger, the middle finger is sort of life purpose. The little finger is intuition and intelligence. The thumb, you would walk it for willpower and freedom of thought. I think I went through all of them. So there are lots of ways to bring in ways to experience the labyrinth. So I'm going to ring the bell. Threshold. We stopped to say a simple word of thanks that we could walk to this place and find it, like a promised understanding, like an intuition long held, that it stood always at the end of the long road we took to get here, as if to welcome us, as if to teach and hold us in this time now. To understand at last how close the threshold is that takes us like a blessing from a world we think we know and turns our face to wonder by the gift of the sheer imagined absence, the twilight sense of the ultimate purification. To love and to let go. David White. I'll turn on the music. Nathan, am I sharing?
I'm not
Can you hear
hearing.
this?
Not yet.
Okay. 1 second. Just stay in your meditative state. To reshare screen, pardon me. There we go. Did it go?
Yeah, that's good.
So we're gonna walk for about 8 minutes. So drawing our walk to a close, I'm gonna ring the bell. Sorry if that was abrupt. And read a closing poem, and then we can share. Let's listen to the bell to the end. All right. Sorry, my screen is... Okay, this is a poem I discovered on the TLS site, written by a labyrinth lover by the name of Reginald Charles Adams. And it's part of the Labyrinth collaboration with Denny Dykes and Circles in the Sand and Bandon, Oregon. Definitely a bucket list. So let's just close our eyes. In the labyrinth's gentle twists and turns, I wander softly. My heart will learn with each step taken, a breath, a sign. I leave my worries, let my troubles fly. The path unfolds like a whispered prayer, a sacred space where I shed my care. In the stillness, my spirit finds release. Wrapped in silence, I discover peace. Each winding journey a dance with my soul. In this quiet embrace, I feel whole. As I reach the center, my heart beats free. In the labyrinth's heart, I find the real me. And I'll ring the bell one more time. So, I know that was a pretty short walk, wasn't it? Yeah, so take your time coming back. So how's everyone doing? If anybody wants to share anything that might have happened or any questions, comments, we're open and love to hear.
And please just unmute yourselves if you want to speak.
Well, I will say, this is the first time this ever happened to me. I was walking in and I got lost. and I have pretty deep ridges on mine. And I stuck with it and I came straight back out without going to the center. And so I kind of jumped forward and said, no. I like my center time. So and so it's not always perfect, you know. There's no right or wrong way. So anybody else? Have anything? Or anything else on your minds about, well, I don't know how much I can answer about creation spirituality. Carolyn certainly could, and Nathan. So, well, if
And Patty.
Patty, where's Patty? Yes, definitely, and Patty. So
Um,
if you guys haven't, if you ladies have anything to say,
well, I just a personal experience this time doing it. I just didn't want to leave. When I got to the center, I just didn't want to leave. It was very delicious. So that was just happened.
ah, that's
Grateful.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Was it your first time walking a finger labyrinth or a labyrinth? Do we have anyone new here? So there are free labyrinth walks on Fridays through Veriditas, finger labyrinth walks that you can sign up for. And of course, Creation Spiritualities has the quarterly finger labyrinth walks. And I don't know if you'd like to say anything else, Carolyn, Patty, or Nathan, you have the floor.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm posting something in the chat box right now. If you would like to support us in presenting more programs like this, there's a link to a PayPal page where you can give a donation. And also, this is being recorded and it will be put up on our YouTube channel. So take some time to visit that channel and look at all the other materials that we have available there. This will probably be up in the next couple of days. So look for an email update around that. And thank you all for spending time with us.
Well, I know a lot of people have come back. We've noticed that people do come back and watch this. And so thank you, Catherine, so much. And a shout out to Marianne, who I imagine may come back and watch this for all of her dedication and all of you in the labyrinthine community. It's so special for us to have these times every 6 weeks to honor the earth, our relationship with the cosmos, and in particular, our solar system. And so thank you for allowing us to continue this on this amazing, almost autumnal equinox.
Yeah, thank you. And if I can do a shout out for Creation Spiritualities communities, I'm probably not the one to really speak about it, but just from an experience of being in these classes with these brilliant people, you know, just brilliant people, and the guest speakers that come in, Matthew Fox, Brian Swim, they have access to all these phenomenal speakers and then people in your program that are, it has a you can get a doctorate in this, right?
Well, we
So-
do have a CERT program. It is true, but it's not a doctorate. In the old days, Matthew had a class, a University of Creation Spirituality. He did give doctor ministry degrees, but no, we have a certification process that goes through the same core programs that Matt had in his university, plus a class on evil, because after all, we're in the age of Aquarius now. So Yeah, look into that. Check out our website. Thank you so much, Catherine, for pushing our programs. We do have a number of programs. And we do have an annual meeting coming up on October 6th. If you wish to join us, that's Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And Marianne will no doubt be there. She'll be speaking. And we're very grateful for her presence in our community, and also for all of you all being here today, and especially you, Catherine, helping us to continue the celebration.
Catherine, thank you for the reflections. They were beautiful. And will you share your slides? Will you send them to
Sure. I'll send them to Nathan
Carolyn or Nathan? Yeah, to post.
or whoever you want me to send them to.
I like that tree. I like that tree of contemplation.
Oh,
I've seen it
good.
before. I like that very much. So
Good.
that's good. Thank you very much. I'm glad we didn't just jump in, do the labyrinth. It was really well thought out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, you always have to build sort of a climate around it and
Yeah.
pretend that we are there, So,
Yes.
so thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate
Okay.
friends who are here and fellow Labyrinth people and the creation spirituality community. So, and I hope to see you again. Everyone, enjoy the equinox, 5:44 a.m.
Right.
Perfect time.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
You all.
Thank you.
Bye now.